you have to do it. I think if you call me a motivational speaker or an international speaker, that would be you not describing me well. I'm a global citizen. I command influence. There's a difference between living abroad and being a global citizen. They're two different things. You can live abroad and not have a global voice. Last year I was invited to train House of Lords and House of Commons in United Kingdom. In 2018, I told you the story already, how I was invited by President Bill Clinton. In the same 2018, the state of Michigan gave me a global award. I've been invited at Johns Hopkins University to facilitate sessions. When you are loaded, you will be needed. And I keep saying it that there is nothing like gender equality. The only thing we have is economic inequality. If not, tell me, how can the same plane that is carrying everybody, but you have first class, you have first class of what? Business economy. If one engine fails, everybody will be calling on Jesus. Everybody will be equal. So the fight is not about the black and the white. They never born to Igbo where we're going that will intimidate me. But when I show up with fire, and I show up in my capacity. The point I'm trying to make here is the future that we so much talked about is in the past. I'm sure you've never heard this. Have you? The future that we so much waiting for is where? When the dots will connect, it will connect backward. The same pain, the same thing that cost you pain is the same thing that will bring you fame. The same thing that what God is going to use to bless your life or make you to be known, it's not in the future. It's the same thing that people have mocked you about. So, but the only difference is that you cannot use it in the same form and shape that you started it with. That's why you have scale up, start up, and then you can move forward. The point is this, most times, just like in the drama, I have never been that guy that for one day, sometimes when I see these guys that stay at the newspaper and then argue about the country, I'm like, you people have time. I value civil servants a lot, but me, I cannot be one. Because I'm a born entrepreneur. And for us as entrepreneurs, the only word we hear is risk. It is risky for you not to take risk. Because the moment you don't take risk, your life is already what? At risk. And the best time for you to take risk is now that you are young. Because the moment you are married, there are some certain things you can no longer do as a young person. I made a post the other day and I said, it is okay for you to drink Gary, but the day your mind starts drinking Gary, don't finish. I want to take you through a very simple process, and I can guarantee you it will work for you if you can listen to me. Now, I have so many slides here, but we're not going to run through it. Media, please, can you help me? I don't know why this is not working. Creating a compelling future sometimes always starts with you being in that confusion state. I have been there. And trust me, I am not there yet. And honestly speaking, there is no place called there. Because when you get there, you will just realize that there's another place called there. And when you get there, you realize there's another place called until that person will enter grave. And that's why You have to define what fulfillment means for you. I always say this: if I die now, I'll die smiling. Nothing missing, nothing broken. The battle has been won. And that doesn't mean that I don't want more in life, but it means that I'm not desperate anymore. It means that I cannot scam somebody because I want to make money. It also means that I've gotten to a point in my life where I know that I command so much value. If there's no money in my pocket now, I know how to give value. Because my money is in your pocket. And so if I can give you value, I can help you. A compelling future is that place that we so much desire. I remember watching this family every morning, and as they drive them to school, and then I keep wondering, God, Shana like this will go there for the day. There is more to life than what you're experiencing now. But the question is, are you ready to fight for it? Because you cannot demand for what you have not paid for. If you go to where they're selling cars and say, I demand, you have to pay for it. I've paid my own price. And I always say this: anybody that say that I don't deserve my harvest season, God bless that person with my past.
Terrible prayer.
I deserve it. I deserve it. If you think that I don't deserve it, my God will bless you with my past. If you survive it, good luck. My past, there's nothing there. It's about shame, treasure, poverty. Now, I wanted to quickly write something. There's just one slide that I'm going to use to teach you something. I don't need to go all through this. Media, please kindly get me that slide where you have something that has to do with the current state and the future state. We're going to just use it to run. The current state and the future state. And if you have a writing material, I'd like you to write to the left, current state, to the right, future state, current state, future state, current state, future state. And we're going to make it so practical so that we by yourself, we identify these things. Current state represents your past, probably where you are at the moment. For me, my own current state as of that time, you can find pain, you can find poverty, lack, pressure, disappointment. That was my own current state. Family has always been a driving force for me. In every family or generation, someone must have to rise up and say, not in my time. What you call generational curses simply means a generation cursed it. Have you heard that one before? What you call generational curses simply means what? A generation cursed it. Please, can I have 3 people on stage? 3.
Now they will come with speed. No money.
There's no 100,000.
Nothing come out. See this one already.
Okay, thank you. Let's start from here. The tallest man. Generation 1. Generation. And generation. Solomon had time to marry and enjoy because David fought all the battles. Generation 1 decided not to do something about the current state. And so he grew old. And then he gave birth to generation 2. Generation 2 inherited what? Pain, poverty, and pressure. Generation 2 decided to do nothing and then transfer what again? Pain, pressure, and poverty to generation 3. And generation 3 decided to do nothing and also transferred pain, poverty, and pressure to generation. And generation 4 said, not in my time. And decided to change it. This generation caused what he experienced. And this generation caused what generation B is experienced. And from one generation to what? Another. Until a generation will wake up and say, not in my time. Do I have such generation in this room? Do I have that individual who will say, not in my time?
Not in my time.
Rise on your feet and say, not in my time.
Not in my time.
I can't hear you say, not in my time.
Not in my time.
For the last time, say, not in my time.
Not in my time.
Not in my time. My generation will never know poverty again. I'm not kidding. You see, legacy is not just what you leave for your children, but what you leave in them. Have you heard that one? I'm waiting for the children to come. You will see. Not in my own time. Family has always been that driving force to change. I was born to end that generational poverty, and it ended. Please go back next week. Please sit down. My assignment is very simple: to get you upset, because anger is a necessity for some certain things to happen. Now, I always say this: don't give up in the United States or Canada, and don't give up in Nigeria. Don't mean the same thing. Don't give up in Canada means there is OSAP. Government will pay you. Do you know that if you give birth in Canada, government, as a permanent resident or a citizen, government will be paying your tithe. Your tithe is 18 years. Are you aware? Do you know that there's an educational fund that if you put 1,000 there, government will double it? If you put 5,000, government will double it. That's the system. But here, our current state is not the same. I am that kind of a person who have been able for years mastered how to get things done with less or nothing. I kid you not. This program, my one kobo did not enter into it.
Can you imagine?
I'm very proud. Because I know how to make things happen. Well, we came back last year from Rwanda. Dr. Stephen said something about, first of all, go and announce it. This was how I announced that I want to sponsor 27 people to Rwanda. I thought that flight ticket was going to be like $250 per person. Until we ended up, the exchange rate started increasing. That I now bought flight ticket for $750,000 per person, multiplied by 30 tickets, because I also got for my staff. Now, I didn't do that project having the resources. I have never in my life do any big project having all the resources available. Never! I've hosted a program at Nikon Luxury in Abuja. That was in 2014. We hosted 800 women. It was women in leadership. They ate buffet. I drank Gary that night. I'm not kidding you. It was not my wife. She was still friends. She was the one that paid for me to eat. My friend Charles Awachu, who is in UK today, was also part of that event. But there is one thing I want you to learn how to do. I need two people, please come. Now.
Leave plan, bro. Target time. This guy has left the fighting spirit. Please keep his phone or snap him if possible.
Now,
you are really hopeful.
If you need to buy a car or phone, what do you need? Money, right? If you need to get money, what do you need? Now, let's imagine this way. You want to buy something, a car, you have the money, you pay. And the same thing applicable here. And then you got your own time. You don't have money to get it. I found myself in this situation, always thinking that I need money to get things done, because growing up I was made to understand that everything just you need the physical cash, the money to buy things, until I realized that you can actually, I used to think that capital is just money, until I realized that money is one form of capital. There are other capitals. And so, when she will spend money, this guy will spend people to get the same thing money can. Please go back. Now, hear the word. I didn't say use people. I said spend what? For you to spend, it means you have deposit. So I have spent a good number of years mastering how to build relationship, and I learned that from the spider. It took me 3 months to study about the spider, and I read it in the Bible. The spider takes holes in her hands and is in the king's palace. The question is, how did the spider get to the king's palace? And there are 3 things you will find out there. Number 1 is that there is an application of something called, there's a belief system. The king's palace represents a place of influence, dominion, abundance. And the spider desires so much to get in there. But there's something called cobwebs that the spider always uses to build what? Network. Have you been to a situation whereby you're just walking and then something crosses your face? You say it's your village people. You just obstructed the spider's move. Now I used that same strategy for years in building powerful and credible networks. There's literally no country that I will go today and I will not have somebody that will say, "Carl, we host you." None. And guess what? When I started building that networking skills, I was still sleeping inside Onike Iwaya, Redeemed Christian Church of God Church. When I was invited by President Bill Clinton, I went to that trip from church. Hello. But what most people don't understand is that it always looks like a play until start what? And then people will do what? Pay attention to. What is your current state? And then the future state. It represents where you want to get to. But the question is, how you want to get there? Because wahala not there. The moment moment you overcome one, the next minute you are faced with another. I'm going to share with you practical things that's going to help you. Number one thing that I will do if I have to start all over again is to invest in mind transformation. You hear me say this thing, it looks like as if it's just a motivational word. But I tell you something, you need to train your mind in the right way so that your mind can support and power your growth. I read a place in the Bible and it said, but without your mind, even God cannot do anything. And I want to give you an assignment. Food is for the belly, images are for the mind. In my two phones, I have nothing less than at least 30,000 images. My dream car, I have like the image, the black, the red. I keep looking at it. There's something called mental modeling that I should keep beholding. You're not becoming. You are modeling.